Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And today I got early access to a film that's going to be premiering in just a day or two. And that would be for the 2024 film directed by George Nolfi, Elevation. So, Elevation is a post apocalyptic sci fi horror film. It stars Anthony Mackie, Morena Baccarin, and Maddie Hassan. So, the story for this one is that 3 years ago, monsters came up out of the ground and started attacking, and specifically only taking out humans. We as a species began to realize that the monsters would leave us alone if we were above a certain elevation. So all of humanity began running for the hills, literally. So our story does pick up those 3 years later, where we see how everyone's surviving in this post apocalyptic world. So our primary characters are a group of three people that belong to this survivor group that is in one of the higher elevated areas. Now, the three of them, for their own reasons, have decided that they need to actually go below the elevation to try and gain some supplies and some information. One of them is a single father who needs to get medical supplies for his son's issue. The second is a scientist who's trying to figure out what these monsters' weaknesses are. And the third is a very good friend trying to make sure that her best friend makes it out of this alive. So, one of my favorite things about this film is the visuals. I liked how all of the effects looked, and especially how the monsters looked. Although I feel like we didn't see the monsters enough, at least in my own opinion. I did enjoy the acting in this film, but I do have to say, at least for me, Anthony Mackie is one of those actors that kind of always feels like he's just playing Anthony Mackie, but in different roles. Not that that's bad, I just don't ever see a huge difference. I will say, probably my biggest issue with the movie is by the end of it, there's so many questions that are left unanswered. It does seem, though, like they're setting it up for a potential sequel or franchise or maybe even a prequel. So I feel like we will get answers in the next one, but it's just one of those I really kind of wish I would have gotten some of these things answered, at least this time around. So for me on my scale, I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 5. Now, if you're a fan of movies like Pitch Black, A Quiet Place, or even The Tomorrow War, I really think you're going to enjoy this one as well. So when it does release into theaters on November 8th, absolutely go and watch it for yourselves. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if there's ever a movie you'd like me to do a review for, feel free to mention it in the comments.